So the Suicide Squad recently released on theaters and HBO Max last week. And despite audiences loving the film, it actually bombed at the box office. Now here's the thing. Instead of blaming it on, instead of figuring out why the movie failed, they're always scapegoating it. And they're scapegoating it through Coronachan. They're actually scapegoating Coronachan for the failure of this movie, despite the fact that audiences loved the film. Now here's the thing, I'm not really into Suicide Squad. I never saw the original Suicide Squad, never read any of the comics. I have little interest in the sequel. But the scapegoating is something I'm really interested in. Because Hollywood, for the past 18 months, literally supported lockdowns. They supported lockdowns. They supported hating their own audience. And in their news theaters, in their news channels, you know that Hollywood is actually owned by corporations, and these same corporations have news media that have been pumping fear porn for the past 18 months. And ever since then, people have little interest to going to cinemas anymore, because the fear-mongering and Hollywood hating its own audiences for not doing enough, and also calling them racists, regardless of skin color. And now the Hollywood industry are blaming Coronachan instead of their support of lockdowns and fear porn over the failure of Suicide Squad. I'm talking about Suicide Squad 2021. And now they're blaming anyone who has not gotten vaxxed against Coronachan. It's scapegoating, plain and simple. Not to mention it's racist, since 60% of the audience, 60% of Black Americans and Hispanics and Orthodox Jews have not taken the vaccination for various reasons. Instead of movie companies looking within themselves and realizing that we need to get people into movie theaters. We need to stop this fear-mongering. We need to stop this support of lockdowns and end this now. Instead, they're just scapegoating anyone who had no interest in seeing this film. And they're just blaming it on Coronachan, and they're blaming on anyone who has not been vaccinated, which is, again, really racist, since 60% of Blacks and Hispanics actually did not get vaccinated for various reasons, some of them for historic reasons. And it's worth knowing that Hollywood, en masse, and most of the celebrities support Black Lives Matter. They cannot make the two to two together. This is another reason why we must let Hollywood die. By all means. Let Hollywood die, support independent creators, and maybe get your entertainment from East Asia, especially Japan. Because Japanese creators, Japanese artists, those who create anime, manga, video games, they don't hate their audiences. They want audiences to buy their stuff, to watch their films, to play their video games. Unlike Hollywood, which now, for the past 4 or 5 years, hate their audiences, yet demand them to pay. Like pay pigs. Demand them to pay to see them, and demand them to pay money. Basically give them money for these films. Like pay pigs. The more articles I see like this, the less the little interest I have in seeing any films Hollywood has to offer. Possibly except for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. But seriously, Hollywood doesn't deserve you anymore. They don't like you, they hate your existence, yet they want your money. So they're proudly ungrateful. And we need to let it die. Let Hollywood die like the comic book is just like the comic book industry dying. Let the comic book industry, as we know it, die, and let Hollywood die. And support independent creators, support Japanese anime, manga, video games, support independent comic book creators. Seriously, independent creators and Japanese anime, manga, video games want more of your money than Hollywood. Let Hollywood die. One more thing, with Suicide Squad failing at the box office, with Black Widow failing at the office as well, and there's going to be another one, actually two comic book films that are going to be failing at the box office, The Eternals and I think it's The Eternals and Shang-Chi. The comic book industry, the big two, their girl is gone. Because the real reason why comic book pros are crapping on their audiences on any form of criticism, because they don't care, they get paychecks no matter how much their products fail. And with the comic book movie genre dying off because of these failures, they're not going to keep their jobs for longer. They're going to have to get real jobs, like driving for Uber, if they can get one, or McDonald's. Would you like some fries with that?